Okay, is everybody ready to get started? I want to introduce myself. My name is Anna Tatro, and I'm the grants librarian at the Enoch Pratt Free Library. And I've been there for about 3 years, showing people how to use the Foundation Directory online, amongst other things. But tonight we'll focus on the Foundation Directory. The format for tonight, I'm going to do a PowerPoint, but I'm going to go through it rather quickly because I want to go and do a live demo. I normally live demo all my classes, but I have found with Zoom, it sometimes like really lags and you won't be able to see what I'm seeing. And so nothing I say makes sense. But since we're a small group, I think once I get through the PowerPoint, then I'll go in and do one live search so you can kind of see what it looks like in that way. But the way the PowerPoint set up is basically screenshots of like, okay, you type in these words, then you hit search. This is the next page. This is the next page. This is the next page. So you're going to see exactly what you'd be seeing in the database, but I do want to try to demo it live. If you have questions as we go, feel free to put them in the chat. I will keep an eye on that. And since we're a small group, feel free to ask whatever questions you have, and I'll try to address them as we go. All right, so I'm going to share my screen now. And we are going to get started with the slideshow. And everybody make sure that you're muted if you are not, just FYI. So today we are going to look at the Foundation Directory online. And I'm going to talk to you about what it is, what you sort of need to know about your project or program before you search the FDO. And then what we really look at the Foundation Directory as is a prospect database. So we're looking for prospects. Who can we reach out to try to create a relationship and to then hopefully get more funding. And then we will talk about how you access the FDO, because right now, actually, I'm pretty sure the Foundation Directory Online is going to be accessible offsite. It will be at least through 2021. So we have it through the Pratt Library website, and I'll show you how to access it, because if you access it through the library's website, you'll be able to freely access it. It'll be free to you. So I already asked this question of how do you search for funders now? And, we talked about most of these. We search online. You can find quite a few things, especially local, just by searching Google. And I tend to do that along with the Foundation Directory Online. You can specifically look for a request for proposals. I know the philanthropy news, you can sign up for like an auto alert on certain types of RFPs. So if you're not with philanthropy, it's either philanthropy news or philanthropy digest. I think they're the same thing actually, but you can sign up for RFPs there. And one thing I should say about searching online, if you don't know about the Maryland Governor's Grant Office, they're a good source of a listing of local grants as well. Some people will search GuideStar. If you search GuideStar, every organization that is registered as a 501c in the United States is in GuideStar, whether they know it or not. So you can go in there and look for other organizations and perhaps see who's funded them by looking at their 990s. You can look and see if there's any foundations that come up as 501cs. So GuideStar, these are freely accessible things. And then, of course, the old way is looking at 990. So any 501c3 has to allow anyone to look at their 990. So you could actually call some 501c3 and ask them that, and they would have to provide it to you. But they are, the 990 is the tax return that 501cs fill out. So it has all their comings and goings with money listed there. The foundation directory is a very detailed database of different funders' grants, the recipients of those grants, and some corporations. It's constantly updated. And right now, this slide needs to be updated because I believe there's about 165,000 funders in there right now. And of those 165,000 funders, only 20% of them have websites. So that's why the Foundation Directory Online is really surpassed in a lot of different ways of searching. And they just continue to look for more grant makers to put in here, more recipients to put in here. And again, we'll be looking for prospect research here. So we're going to be looking for those grant makers. To actually find the RFPs, we'll end up with their information from their profiles going over to their websites usually, or having to contact them. So the RFPs themselves aren't technically in the foundation directory. Once in a while you'll find one, but very rarely. And generally we're just going to be looking at the grant makers. So where does Candid, which they run both the Foundation Directory Online and GuideStar. GuideStar and the Foundation Center became one organization called Candid about 1.5 years ago. And so they have a whole staff of employees, and they're out looking at grantmaker websites. They're receiving annual reports from different grant makers. They're looking at the press. They're looking at government grants, 30 plus information sources. So they look at 990s and they mine those and they put all that data into the database so that we can easily find it. So before you sit down to search the Foundation Directory online, it's important to ask yourself a few questions. First, who are you serving? And I think you can get as detailed there as you need to be, because there are quite a few filters and search terms related to all kinds of different groups of people. Where are they? It's very important to look in this database for where you are and where the money is going to be spent. Most of the time when I do a search, I do Baltimore City and Maryland, because I'm in Baltimore City, but the counties are in there, and the states as search topics. So where are they? You could also look at, types of neighborhoods, things like that, which probably goes back to who you are serving. And then the biggest question is what you are doing for them. And so the Foundation Directory is a project-based search to find grant makers. So it's not necessarily an organizational database. It's more, I need playground equipment for underserved kids in this neighborhood. I'm running a after school program for low income children in Atlanta, Georgia, which is the example that's up on the screen. So think about that project that you're doing, and the more project based and the more centric it is with the RFP, the better off you're going to be. So right here, you are seeing what the homepage of the Foundation Directory looks like, and you get a box that you can type really anything you want into. And you can just use common words. And so here they have put in the after school health after school program for low income children in Atlanta, Georgia. And when we hit the search button, we go to what's the advanced search. So it's showing us how they have in the database arranged the search for us. And so you'll see that some of the words have changed. They've mapped our low income children to child welfare, our after school program to out of school learning, and then we have health, and then we have Atlanta. I would probably add Georgia as a separate search. So there'd be Atlanta in there and Georgia, but they have not for this particular search strategy. And when we hit search, when we get to the next page, we see the total of grant makers. So there's 2,783 grant makers that fund in the area that we just searched for. Those particular grant makers have made 30,171 grants to 1,023 recipients. And then, of course, you can see that the 990s are there if you want to look at them. When you scroll down the list a little bit, you will get to see the grant makers by name. And in a moment, we will look at them further. There's a very large list. So I'm going to hit view all here and see what happens on the next page. So it brings up the top 10 or the first 10 grant makers. And the way the grant makers are listed here is by the grant count on the right-hand side. So if your grant, the more grants somebody's given out, the higher up they're going to be. So the government usually shows up at the top. But then you will see we got the Community Foundation for Greater Atlanta. We've got down here a little ways the Marcus Foundation, and the Marcus Foundation's done 193. So you can look at that by grant count to sort of see who's giving how much money where. And then we can actually see, oops, hold on a second, I think. Okay. Sorry, I thought a slide was ahead of itself, but it's not. So when you're going through these, we're going to click into a profile in just a moment, and you'll be able to see a lot of different things that will help you to decide if they're a good prospect for you or not. And you're going to be able to see within these profiles if you meet their requirements, because the funding requirements will be there. They will have sort of a mission section and about section. So you can sort of look at that and decide if your organization, your project's mission and goal is a priority for this funder. We can look and see how much their grants are. So how much do they normally give to people? Does the funder support organizations like mine? So it will show some of the recipients. The essential version that's free doesn't go quite into detail like the professional version does, that you have to physically go to somewhere to use, which right now most of those places are closed. But know that you can do that once, we have, if you have access to the professional version. Let's see. And do I know anybody who's associated with this funder? They have a who's who of the organization listed, and the who's who people, if they have a LinkedIn, their little LinkedIn icon is right on by their name. So you can go right to their LinkedIn page and get some information about them. It's one reason why having a LinkedIn is a good idea, especially in the nonprofit world. You never know who knows somebody that works somewhere that you may need to talk to. So you know how this is, we're always looking for money in any place we can. So that's a really helpful tool. So I'm going to click into a profile, and all you have to do is hover over it, and then you'll just click on the link and it'll take you to the profile. And right here on the left-hand side, about a third down, it says we're looking at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And on the left-hand side is a menu that you can click on and go up and down the page. But somebody just went straight down. They wanted to know, what are the limitations for this? Can we apply? Can we not apply? And so, they do national and international and health problems. So, are they a fit or not? I don't know. So we can go into the rest of the profile. You'll see at the top, it gives us the website and some navigation up and down the page. And then it has 3 different graphs, and these are on each profile for the grant makers. So it will tell you what's being funded. And when this is live, when you roll over these charts, you can see the numbers. So it's really easy to use. It's really quick. So you can see what's being funded, their big areas of interest, where they're funding, where most of their money is going. And then on the third graph, you see what their average grant size is. So you kind of get a feeling for what you could go for. And then it's going to show the most common grant amounts and who those were given to. So you will see a few recipients. I think the recipients list is one of the most helpful things, especially as someone new to grant seeking, because if you know other organizations that are similar to yours, then you can go see who's funded them and get a prospect list that way. So as we scroll through the profile, we're going to be able to see all the grants they've given, as well as, just a few and the recipients. And then at the bottom of the screen, we will see the who's who. And you will see here, there are quite a few employees, and it looks like most of them have LinkedIn profiles. So you could just click on Trevor's LinkedIn icon and it would take you to his LinkedIn, the president of Global Health Programming. Right here. So a lot of times when you're looking at this who's who's list, you'll look at, like, for the program officer, because that's usually the person that's dealing with the grants. Then it gives you that purpose and activity, which really is very tied to their mission and vision. And it's, what they are funding for. So you want to match this paragraph in what you're trying to do as closely as possible. And then we can find out what they want us to do to apply. And so the first thing they want us to do is to review the funding guidelines and eligibility on the foundation website. They do not take mail-in applications. And then it gives you an idea of their deadlines and, how, after you find out if you're eligible on the website, then they want a letter of inquiry, etc. So this can really help you as well. Sometimes it'll give you deadlines if you're trying to make a chart or something like that of when people, when things are due. That's really helpful in here as well. And you can do it quite quickly. And then it shows you all the ways of communication they have, so that you could research the organization further, get to know their culture a little bit, some of the terminology they use before you reach out. And this links to a whole bunch of different things. They obviously are very robust in their online communications. Most family foundations don't have this many things, but it's very helpful because you can friend them on Facebook, you can friend them on LinkedIn, and you can be following them on Twitter, and it will help build that relationship, hopefully, and get some recognition for your own organization. Each of the pages within the foundation directory, if you look somewhere, usually on the right-hand side of the screen, in between sections, you'll see these toolboxes, and you can create PDFs of each of the profiles. You could create PDFs of the recipients. You can email a list to yourself. You can email a spreadsheet. You can email PDFs. So the tools are really great, and it's very easy to export, to generate a list and send something out. The other thing that you can do, so if you already know an organization, and in my mind, this is where, like, as a librarian, somebody comes in and they say, I have a food pantry, I'm looking for money for, serving food. I might look for Movable Feast to see who's funding them, or the Maryland Food Bank. So I could type that in here and search by organization and pull up their profile and find out what all's going on with them. And I'm not sure, let's see, who do they use as an example in this? They use the Bill and Melinda Foundation. So I could type that in, and this is what I would see, and then I could view their profile. And I can do the same thing for people as well. If you end up hearing somebody's name, but you've forgotten where they work, or you just want to find a person, you can do that as well. And then the last slide of this PowerPoint, like I said, I was going to move through it fast because I'd rather show you some things live, is the keyword search. And the keyword field, use with caution. It's generally not a field I use. I haven't had good luck with it. it usually knocks me down to where there's nothing. But you can try it, but just know that it probably isn't going to help you much. What we're going to want to do is really look at our subject headings in the first box of the screen. So I'm going to quickly tell you how you can access this, just in case anybody wants to access it while I'm talking. First of all, if you need to have a library card at prattlibrary.org. If you currently don't have a library card at the library, Pratt Library, you can get an e-card very quickly. You're going to go to prattlibrary.org, which is the homepage of the library. You'll see on the right-hand side that there's, a tab that says library cards. Then you'll scroll down the page for just a second till you see e-card. And then from there, you apply for an e-card, and you need your address and your phone number, a couple things, your email. And then you'll be given your e-card number and your PIN. And once you have that, you can access any of our resources that we have online. So definitely get one, because we have great stuff. And then once you have that number and your PIN, you can go back to the library's homepage. And this time you're going to click on the research tab. And so we'll click on research. And then we get the research page. We scroll down just a little, and we will see where it says view all databases. So we click on view all databases, and then we click on F. And when we click on F, we will scroll down the page just a little bit. When you hit the F, it seems like it should go to another page, or at least in my mind it does, and it doesn't. It just appears at the bottom of the screen. So you have to scroll down a little. And then you want to view the database, and then you'll put in your library card number, and that will get you into this database. And you can do that from wherever you are. So let's see if there's any questions before I go live with the database.
Good. So could we try to do something with finding grantors for operating expenses?
Yes, I will show you that.
That's always a tough one.
Yes, it is, and it's called General Support in Foundation Directory.
At one point, can you help us understand the difference between this and GrantStation, which is what we generally use? We get it through TechSoup for like $99 instead of like $700.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't have access to it, so it's not something I use or know.
It's better, actually.
It's I guess because this is freely accessible, that makes it better. You don't have to spend money on it, but yeah. So depends on what you need it for, I think. All right. Hold on a minute. You know what? I said I would go live. I may have to give you guys a minute break, because I may have to run out to my car and get my library card. I don't know my number. Isn't that crazy? I've worked at the library for 3 years and I don't know my library card number. My computer might remember it though. Yeah. It remembers somebody's library card number. Guess not the right one. All right, give me 5 minutes or less. I'll be right back. Hopefully you guys can get your cards and log in the meantime.
And it's not a court package. There's a number of other things that are assets, scholars, and debated. And I'd look to see what recommendations that commission might make.
while we're waiting for Anna to return with her library card, I wanted to answer 2 questions in the chat. Someone asked, what other kinds of things can Anna help us with as a grant librarian? For all participants who attended this workshop, particularly, you will have access to a one-on-one 1-hour session with Anna to explore your grant writing or to explore your needs as it relates to searching the foundation directory. So if you do need additional assistance in navigating the website, I would encourage you to sign up for a one-on-one session with her that is provided free of cost due to support of the South Baltimore Gateway Partnership. The second question is the foundation free without Enoch Pratt login? I found out actually it is not free without a Enoch Pratt login. So this is really quite amazing that the library has provided this access to membership. I think I remember seeing it about $20 up on a monthly basis for the subscription. So thank you again, Anna, for providing us the link to this free software now.
Okay, I'm back. Thanks for that. Somebody asked if the foundation directory is free without Enoch Pratt login, and it is not.
Yeah, I tried to answer those 2 questions.
Yeah, because we have to be behind a firewall proxy or something. It's just because they're a nonprofit as well, and they need to know how many people are using it through certain libraries, and I don't know, it's part of their data collection. Anyway, I am going to try to do a live search. So I am going to go directly into the foundation directory online. Let's see. So I'm going to skip this because you guys can do this. You can type in whatever you want, and it will basically take you to the advanced search page and fill out these boxes for you. But I really want to show you the boxes. This is where I usually start as, the grants librarian, because it just makes more sense to me. But in the subject area, when you click on the box, you get a drop-down menu. So you have to actually click in that box, and then you're going to see various different topics. A lot of these have multiple drop-down menus. So they get, more specific as you drop them down. If you were to choose performing arts, it's going to choose everything under performing arts, as you see there. Or we can say that's too broad. We really just want to look at theater. And maybe we just want to look at musical theater. So, depends on, what you're actually doing, how many of these things you would want to click on. A lot of people provide, basic aid, and that's under human services. So I point that out, food aid, free goods distribution, and with COVID and everything else going on, that might be helpful to know. Job services, personal services. So is there anything that you would like me to search for? I would be happy to do a search for somebody.
How about general, what did you call it? Not operating, but general funding?
Okay, that's not a subject area though.
Oh,
That's a type of funding, not a program.
Right.
So what would the general operating, what would the program be? What would the organization do?
What about doing street art?
Street art? Well, we can look under arts and culture. And my guess is performing arts is going to be the closest. Performance art, I mean. Does that make sense?
Not really.
No?
Well, what I mean by street art is actually painting the street and the intersections.
Oh, okay. So that's public art. Could be public art.
Yeah, visual arts, that's getting close.
And visual arts, public arts. Maybe we'll just do Artist Services Council's education. Yeah, that's a pretty tight project, but we'll see
Okay.
what pulls up. So either way, I just want you to be able to see that there's all these different subject headings in here, and you got to get a little bit creative and you got to look through them, because if they're not here, then the database doesn't know the words. So sometimes you have to fit it into, fit a peg into a round hole kind of thing. And then the geographic focus, this is where, I would put in Baltimore. I usually put in city and Baltimore because we're our own county. And then I put in Maryland because I want this particular box, the geographic focus box, is where the money is going to be spent. So wherever you are, that's the geographic focus. And then we can look at population served, and population served are very helpful. Lots of different age groups breakdown. There's various types of family relationships in here. Our gender identity topics, health. Somebody wanted to do education with disabled people, and they couldn't get it in the subject area. They just couldn't figure it out. And when I showed them this, their whole life changed. So definitely look through these as well. Many of us work with at-risk people or economically disadvantaged people. So those are always good. If you're working with sex trafficking or domestic violence or something like that, you could come in and do victims of crime and abuse. Also types of work statuses. So looks like we have artists and performers, activists. So take a look in there as well as you're building your search. I'm going to leave it blank because it would seem like this would be for everybody. And I'm going to do a search. You will see the search terms up here. And then as we scroll down, we will see that there are 21 grant makers who are funding in the area of public arts painting in the city of Baltimore. That's pretty impressive, but it's probably because we picked public arts, but we still get 21. I can do a view all here, and I will be able to see all 21 here. And there's minor grants, but let's look at this first. They've given out 4, only $1,200, but they've given out 4. I've never heard of this trust before.
Neither.
So this is why it comes in handy. The RFPs may not be here, but you'll be ready, and you can start building that relationship with them before the RFP even comes out. So what they're funding, where it's at, how much money they're giving, their funding interests in general, geographic focus. And they say unsolicited funds not accepted, but I think that, and they had a current RFP up that was posted, which is very unusual. But they want you to get in contact with them. I think they just don't want any kind of cold letters of inquiry or cold applications. And it looks like it's a family foundation with 2 employees, which are family. So very small foundation there, but we found that out very quickly. And then we can just as easily go look at the next one. So it is a quick way to look through a lot of results. And I'm not going to go through this, but you can make a PDF on the right, or you can email it to yourself. So you're also able to quickly save these. I'm going to go back to the search results because I want to show you some other ways that you can narrow your search or build it out. Because that's the main thing. Once you know what's in these boxes, I mean, you guys are going to be able to do your own searches. You know what you're looking for better than I do. I'm going to throw in arts and culture here, though, just to get a bigger set so that when I do what I'm doing, it won't take us to 0. Go in that box. It doesn't want to go in the box. All right, wait for a second. I think my computer's frozen. It does that from time to time when you're using Zoom and trying to do a live demo. Still doesn't want to do anything. Let me see what questions we've got here while I'm waiting. There it comes, I think. Come on. All right. Community art, youth mentoring. Somebody asks if you're in the profile, can you see the application? No, you cannot. Not normally. It's just a prospect page, and then generally they give you contact information. And when you get to the bottom page of any of these organizations, it's going to tell us how to contact them. And generally the website will be there. So then you can just go over to the website from their profile, because from this quick profile, you'll be able to tell if they're a match. And then you can open up their website and see if they have any grant opportunities. So it will link you to where you can get the grants if they have anything open. But a lot of times we miss grants or we don't know. And if we're only looking for open RFPs, we're going to miss a lot of prospects. So that's part of why this tool is, fantastic. All right, so I'm going back to the search results. I'm going to put in all of arts and culture. I'm going to get rid of public arts and painting. There we go. All right, so we could add in again, we could add in a population served. We could add in Baltimore County here if we wanted to, if we're working in the city and the county.
We can't see the screen.
Can't see it. Okie dokie. Thank you for letting me know that. Is it back up?
Good.
All right, cool. All right, so the first time you search this, you usually only see these first boxes. And I don't tend to use the second organization name, location, or who's who, because I don't want to look for an organization. I want to look for grant makers in general, because I don't know their names. If you did know somebody's name, you could put it in there to pull up their profile. But anyway, what I want to show you is the additional filters. So that is a drop box you have to remember is there. And when you drop it down, you're going to want to go into support strategy. And this is what a lot of you probably are wanting and hoping for. This is where we can look for technical assistance. We can look for seed money. That's that startup money. We can look for, renovation money and continuing support, but there's our general support. And so somebody was asking for general support. So I'm going to type that in and I'm going to hit search. So general support for arts and culture in the Baltimore metro area, and we get 816. One thing I'm going to do quickly. So somebody said they wanted to know what local money there was. So that's when you would use the location. Let's see if there's, I'm going to do Baltimore, Columbia, Towson area. So this is going to show grant makers from Baltimore that are funding in Baltimore, both. So that is going to knock us down probably quite a bit. So 170. So, you can limit yourself however you want to limit yourself. That's the glory of this database, and it's just as simple as coming back up here and clicking off the boxes if you want to remove them from your search. Okay, so we should be back to that. Well, did I not get it all out of there? Nope, I did not. One other thing, if I can figure it out here, if it's on this particular version. The cool thing, another cool thing that you can do with this database is you can create a spreadsheet of up to 100 grant makers. So if you click on this grant maker on the left-hand side, it's going to choose everything. I'm then going to hit the download a spreadsheet, and it's going to pick up the first 100. So, you know, I don't know if GrantWatch does things like this, but these are some of the built-in tools that make the foundation directory pretty cool, if you ask me. And then it basically pops up the first 100 in your topic area, you know. And what I love is that it, you know, it gives you the web address of anybody that has a website. So you could quickly scroll through the websites and see what's out there, or pass it on to a volunteer and have them mark things with yes, no, maybe, due dates, etc. And so you can save this and have it as your own. And what else? I'll get back into additional filters. Sometimes people want to know what corporate money is out there. So I could also do organizational type and do a corporate sponsor type thing, corporate giving program, and limit it even further from 178. Got 0. Get rid of Baltimore and we might have something. That's why I don't normally use the location, because there's a lot of grant makers that actually fund in our city that are not in our city or our state at all. Yeah, still none. No one corporate doing general operating support for arts. Clear all. Let's see here. So now I want to take questions. If people have questions, and for some reason I can't get the, there it goes. I couldn't get the chat to come up. Does anybody have any questions about what I just showed you? If I need to show something again or explain further.
So this is Kathy. What does
Hi.
it put on the spreadsheet when you do like the spreadsheet of up to 100 people, 100 funders?
Did it not show? Does it? You can't see it on the screen. Oh, how did I do it? Was that the question?
What types of fields are in the giant spreadsheet?
Okay. Yeah, it's address, phone, fax, email, website, total assets, how many grants they've given out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
Kathy, there's 2 questions in the chat. How does the FDO find the organizations to put into their database?
Yeah, they have about 40 different sources that they use. But what they do is they look at the tax returns of foundations. So they look at 990s and they sort of take that information and then they put it into the fields, into the foundation directory online. They have direct relationships with a lot of foundations. They, you know, look at the industry news and, you know, any kind of press they look at. annual reports, various things. So they're constantly mining this data from lots of different sources. And what's the second question? Because I don't see it.
Last but not least, I did mention the one-on-one technical assistance support that you can schedule with all of our workshop attendees, but are there any other kinds of things you can do for us with as a grants librarian?
Oh yeah, I can do all kinds of things. I do a lot of classes. I have 16 different nonprofit related presentations put together. So vision and mission, budgets, logic models, proposal writing. I can't even think of them all, but various things for nonprofits. When the library, I mean, it's not open to the public right now, but I can do one-on-one consultations. Right now I've been doing those by phone, and I do a lot of Zooming. So those are the things that I'm doing right now. But in the spring, starting in, I guess it's a spring semester, but starting in January, I'll be doing a class every other Thursday at like 2 p.m. And that'll be my 12-week series. I'll do, my classes in a sequence of getting grant ready. We have several other tools. We have Gale courses. And now that y'all have your library cards, it's the same process of getting to the FDO. You just push G instead of F and look for Gale courses. There's about 20 courses in there that are all nonprofit related. You get a certification if you finish them, a certificate of completion. We have something called Gale Business Builder that has a nonprofit side to it. So, there's a lot of different things I can help you with. Basically, if you have a question, you can ask me the question. I'm a librarian. If I don't know the answer, I'll get another librarian to help you or try to direct you where you need to go. So, I'm happy to help. I work throughout the state, so this isn't just a Baltimore thing. I know quite a bit about Baltimore, actually, though, because I've worked with over 2,000 nonprofits in the last 3 years. So, I tend to almost help people, like almost work sometimes as a moderator or mediator, and help people to get to know each other or meet up, or, lots of different I have a lot of information in my head is what I have. That's what I can do for you as a grants librarian. It's like stuff that's just not written down. The classes that I do, yes, or if I do it through Enoch Pratt Free Library, they are free if they're on my schedule. Yes, and so the ones it'll be like every other Thursday starting in January when I do the 12-week series, and it'll be listed on the event page of the Pratt Library. A Gale course. Somebody's asking, what is a Gale course? It's GALE, actually. Gale is just the sponsor's name. The classes in it, if you are familiar with Ed2Go, which is offered at junior colleges, there are online classes that it's a lot of reading. The nonprofit ones aren't that bad reading, though. They have a teacher behind it. So if you do an assignment, you'll be able to get feedback from other people in the class and from your teacher. And then they run for 6 weeks, and 4 to 6 weeks. And usually once a week, they put out about 4 to 6 hours worth of work. There's all kinds of courses in there. Just check it out. I mean, there's not only nonprofit, there's business stuff, there's Photoshop, there's like a plethora of classes in there that, you can take for free. Otherwise, the community colleges charge $165 per class. So it's a good deal. Free is a good deal. Okay, so the e-card is free from the library. If you don't have a library card, you can get an e-card for free. It will work as long as you're using it. If it sits idle for a year, it will go out of the system. And once we're open again, if you have an e-card, you can, when you come in to a physical library, you can easily just tell them your e-card number and they'll get you a physical card. Searching the foundation directory through the library is currently free. If you want, I mean, the library pays over $3,000 a year to have access to the foundation directory. So it isn't a cheap database by any means. I know that they have ways that you can use it. You can, you know, if you want to buy like the professional version, you can buy it for a month for a certain amount of money, but I don't work in that particular field of selling their database, so I'm not sure what they are charging for it. But I know right now they're making the essential free through their fins. I'm considered a Foundation Information Network supervisor. So because I'm a fin, they're allowing my library to offer it free offsite. And if anybody else have anything else, it's been great spending this time with you. Thank you for listening to me.